What's going on, guys? It's Tyler from the Keep Pounding podcast. Back-to-back days. Talked to you guys yesterday about the 53 initial man roster, went through the roster, and then there's been quite a few moves since then today that I wanted to talk about again and get into. But the biggest news of them all, the Adam Thielen trade. It's kind of been a build-up the last week or so. The Vikings reaching out to us wanting a third-round pick, and like, no, we'll give you a fifth or a sixth. And so had a feeling that it was going to happen. Uh, didn't necessarily want it to happen, but I get why they did it, and uh, it's time for people to step up. We'll talk about it here in a minute, but it's time for people to step up. Let me pull this up here. So, um, we finally traded Adam Thielen. He's going to Minnesota, but let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So we the context of the trade, we got a fifth round pick next year, and then we got a fourth round pick in 2027. In return, they got Adam Thielen, and then we gave them a conditional 2025 seventh round pick and a 2027 fifth round pick. All that's being said, we got a fourth round pick out of this. But that's not even the biggest thing that the Panthers got from it. The biggest thing is we saved $6.25 million in cap space. So that puts us at $23 million for now. Until the Taylor Moton contract details come out, I won't know exactly how much cap space we have now. I believe next year we have roughly $28 million in cap space. So if we don't make any moves, which I think we will, we'll talk about in a bit. But right now, we pretty much have roughly close to $60 million of things rolled over for next year. So, but again, I don't think we're done. I don't think we're making anything too crazy as far as moves, but that's what we have right now on salary cap space. I think it's a win-win for both of us, to be honest. I do think the Vikings overpaid. Essentially, if you're going to grade the trade, like I think the Vikings definitely overpaid, and they had to. They reached out. That we had the leverage. We had 100% leverage on the Vikings, and we didn't need to let Adam Thielen go. I don't even think we're looking to let Adam Thielen go, but. Whenever someone talks to you, if it's for the right price and it makes sense for both sides, then you make it happen. But I do think with T-Mac, with XL, with Jalen Coker, that young core, it's time for some guys to step up. It's time for some guys to step up. T-Mac is obviously your number one wide receiver. XL for now is number two, and Jalen Coker's number three. I do think that XL and Jalen Coker can interchange. They both can play outside and inside, in the slot and outside. But I think especially Jalen Coker, when you have someone that's consistent like that, it makes it easier for you to make those moves. It makes it easier. So, uh, this is what you want in your organization. You have a veteran that came in that we gave it the Vikings let go. They didn't want to pay his contract. They felt like they were overpaying for him. So we gave him a pretty decent contract. It was a 3-year, like $24-25 million contract. He did play well for us. And he did help mentor and develop uh, the young wide receivers. But as they start to mature and they're playing well, especially consistently, then it's, if the opportunity presents itself, it's time to, do this type of trade. It makes sense. The people being upset about Adam Thielen saying like, "Oh, he wanted out of here." I don't think he never initiated this trade. Obviously, like the guys from Minnesota, he never initiated. It was like, "Dude, I didn't want to get out of here." I get like people are kind of like annoyed with his wife on social media. They're from Minnesota. They wanna be there, like, that's where their home is, so that would be a dream scenario for them. It probably wasn't something that they really thought about that was possible that's gonna happen this year, and this is more than likely the writing's on the wall that this is gonna be Adam Thielen's last year, so it makes sense. So people, like, kind of upset about Thielen's wife getting all excited about this. I'm like, of course they're going to be excited. Maybe was it some people thought I was overblown, maybe, but yeah, they're excited. I mean, again, like the dude wasn't pounding the table like he wanted to get traded. The Panthers were professional, like, hey, this is what we're getting an offer from the Vikings. Is this something that you would even be willing to do as well? Not, I just think they did him a courtesy because he's a captain, in my opinion. He's a leader on that football team. So it's not like he was just pounding the table on, I want to get out of here. So I thought that was kind of overblown that I saw. But I just think this is a win win for everybody, but especially us and the young receiving core. There's a lot of opportunities that's going to be out there for these guys. I think T Mac was already a good opportunities, but this really opens the door for Jalen Coker and the other young receivers. And we'll get into some other receiver as well in a bit, but that is that was the context of the trade. I think Dan Morgan and Brant Tillis did a really good job, and it's nice to see a front office that isn't a pushover. They held their ground. They understood they had the leverage, and they maximized the value that they got out of him, out of the 35-year-old receiver that is going to retire next year. And he's getting paid a base salary of $6.25 million. You gave us a 4th-round pick, and you're paying all that. Makes sense. It makes sense. Now, with that trade, let's look at the future trades or the future draft picks for this now. So, again, this is obviously as of now. For next year, we have our 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th pick, but we get an extra 5th from the Vikings trade. And then in 2027, we get our 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 6th, and 7th round pick, and we picked up a 4th from the Vikings. So this is, as of now, our draft picks for 2026 and 2027 from these trades. This is probably going to change, but just an update for you guys, what we're looking at as far as draft capital in the future here. Now, with us, we picked up 13. Oh, we re-signed and picked up 13 players that we released Tuesday and signed them on the practice squad. And a lot of these made sense. These are the ones that I honestly pretty much thought we would pick up. Chris Barnes, it makes sense. I'm still shocked that he wasn't a part of the initial 53. I do think that obviously, a lot of people were upset that we didn't pick up an inside linebacker today off waivers. It's going to happen. What I'm really hoping, what I think, and what I'm hoping will happen, there's some trade talk going on. They got some trade draft capital from this trade. Could they be looking for a trade for an inside linebacker? Because we're competing for the division. We're competing to make the playoffs. So when you do that, you make some moves. Now, again, 2 years ago, we were the worst team in the league. Our depth is still not the greatest. So there's still we still need to build this thing. But inside linebacker is by far the biggest need on this football team. By far. You're depending on a 2nd-year, 3rd-round draft pick, and you're depending on a special teams ace that was a backup inside linebacker for the Rams last year in Christian Roseboom. That's not good. And I hope these guys ball out. I do. I hope they ball out. But you cannot heavily rely on just those two. I understand we kicked the tires off Shaq Thompson. Dude, bring him back, bro. He's a veteran that's still out there that needs to be signed. I would love to have Shaq Thompson back. I honestly hope Josie Jewell makes a recovery and we re-sign him. Like this is there's a weakness and teams are going to exploit it. And God forbid that there's an injury at inside linebacker. But in my opinion, I just think that the Panthers, they have someone in mind, and I would assume they have someone that they're looking to trade. Player, maybe it's a player on the team, maybe it's draft capital, most likely that's what it is. But I just based on the the moves they didn't make today, and we'll go into some of the other roster moves they did, but overall today they did not address the inside linebacker position, which is by far the biggest need. They did address some other positions, which we'll get into, but they did not address that. So I love that Chris Barnes has been on the practice squad. That makes me a little bit better because Chris Barnes, again, I had to make the initial 53. I think he was pretty solid for us on preseason. He didn't look, pedestrian out there at all. So glad that he's a part of the practice squad and he's able to elevate if we need him. Shamar Bartholomew, I know some people are upset about that, but the dude did pretty well during training camp, but just the last 2 games he played himself off the initial 53. He was CB4, and now he's practice squad player. Boogie Bashman, not mad at that. Jared Harrison Hunty, Jared Kingston, we talked about him, I figured he was going to be re-signed back on the practice squad. Maz Mwansa, Brandon Walton, we talked about him. Bryce Pierre, Jasim Reed, we talked about him as well. Mike Reed is someone who I thought was going to make the initial 53. Sam Roberts, I am shocked no one picked him off waivers, bro. I am so stoked that he is on the practice squad. This is a guy where, if Cam Jackson is hurt and we need a guy to elevate, this is a guy that's not going to miss a beat and play. He played well this preseason. And then offensive tackle Mike Tarkin, and then safety Trevian Thomas. So those are the guys that we re-signed on the practice squad today. But we did make a couple of moves, some roster moves where we signed 2 guys on the initial 53 roster. So the first one is Damari Mathis. So Damari, he is a cornerback that the Broncos had. They drafted him back in 2022 in the 4th round. He has a lot of speed. Runs a 4.39. He has really elite speed. He plays pretty aggressive in coverage. He plays very confident. He played man-to-man while he was there. He's not afraid to press the receivers at the line. He's very physical. He's a strong tackler for his size. He's really good and willing to help in the run game. He's a really good run open field tackler. He has very, very high athletic upside. He's versatile where he's played both press, off man. He played some zone while he was there in Denver. But he did struggle. Again, they drafted him back in 2022, and he did start as a rookie, started some games as a rookie. But he did struggle in his second year. He was getting torched that year, and he eventually got benched. I can't remember who took over for him, but he eventually got benched. But I did a little bit of research on him. He was a little bit too aggressive, poor discipline at times. He has a developmental curve that they're trying to, as far as his inconsistent technique. So that's something where, this is a guy that I can't remember who they had a few spots open. I don't know where I'm assuming he's going to be CB5 or 6. I can't remember how many. I think he's CB5. Yeah, we signed. I think he's CB5. So he adds depth, but again, this doesn't make me super comfortable. I think the PFF grade was like a 67, 69, which isn't great. It's not terrible, but again, like, hey, if they feel like he's an upgrade over what we had before, all for it. But that's who Damari Mathis is. The other player that we drafted or that we picked up on the off waivers and signed to the initial 53-man roster, which surprising for me was DeLavon Campbell. So Dave Canales has a type. This dude is 6'4", 200 pounds. He was an undrafted free agent back in the 2024 NFL draft. He's very physical. He's quick. He has a very high developmental ceiling. His ceiling is very high. He's just extremely raw. They did say coming out that he needs to learn to develop quick twitch speed. He has good top end speed, but it takes a while for him to get there. But the quick twitch at the line, that really caused him to struggle a lot with consistently creating separation. And then route running was an issue too. So this is something that was surprising for me just based on what our wide receiver core was. And we'll get into other wide receivers specifically in a minute. but this is something that was kind of a head scratcher for me. Like, did we need to sign this guy to the initial 53? Again, he may not even make the initial 53 roster by week one. It's just this was puzzling to me. This one was definitely a little puzzling for me for sure. But Dave Canales said, during his press conference, he, really high ceiling but extremely raw. And Dave Canales is the guy that can develop wide receivers. So we'll see what happens. So we got a couple of players that we claimed off waivers to the practice squad. So the first one I talked about actually during my last video yesterday was Hendon Hooker. So Hendon Hooker is someone that's replacing Jack Plummer. This guy has far more upside than Andy Dalton does. Again, this is going to be Andy Dalton's last year, in my opinion. Hendon Hooker, like I believe he was drafted 2 years ago by the Lions. I was pretty high on him. I can't remember what round he was picked on. I think it was the third round, maybe the second. I think he was the third round, but based on his talent, and if he was not injured, he would have been drafted in the first round. But this is somebody that is mobile. He's got a strong arm. He has strong intangibles. He is a good leader. He's strong character. Dave Canales praised his character. So this is somebody that I did like coming out of, I believe he played for Clemson or Tennessee. I can't remember. I'm not a college football guy, so I don't remember, but I do remember liking him when he was coming out of college. So I'm really pleased to see that they did move on. I know the entire fan base was like praying that to God, like, please, Dave, get rid of Jack Plummer because he wasn't the answer. Like, I know they're trying to develop a guy to eventually replace Andy Dalton, but he wasn't it because that guy you did not want to be your backup quarterback. If Bryce Young went down, you're losing a lot of football games if that is your backup quarterback. So glad to see that Hendon Hooker was signed by the practice squad. And then we got a familiar face from Dave Canales here. DJ Dallas. So DJ Dallas, Dave Canales is familiar with him back in Seattle. This guy is a more physical runner. I think he's 5'10", 230 pounds. Very physical runner, more so than Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle and Trevor Etienne, but he also can do other things for you. He can be a gunner of special teams. He can catch, punt return, kick return. So he is kind of, I believe, like their upgraded Raheem Blackshear, except this guy has is more physical. So something is to happen where Chuba Hubbard got injured last year for a couple games. If something happens where we need to upgrade and call a running back off the practice squad, this is a guy that Dave Canales feels comfortable with. So this is something, again, I wasn't mad about at all that about picking him up. Now I want to talk a little bit about the Dave Canales press conference. So I felt like we got a lot of information out of Dave Canales today. Like, yeah, I felt like he was pretty honest. There's parts where I felt like he didn't want to be as honest, but it just kind of came out. And we'll get into a little bit. But first, some unexpected news. I was not expecting this. Ike Ekwonu. So he came to the team facility. I believe it was Sunday. He said, or maybe the operation was Sunday. Um, maybe it was earlier. Maybe it was Friday or Saturday. He came to the facility, but he came complaining of stomach pain over the weekend. And after getting checked by the team's medical staff, surgery was recommended. They recommended doing an appendectomy. There was a degree of hope that he'll return for the Jaguars game. With these procedures, he was letting us know, and it's true, where everybody's a little bit different. You can return within a week. It may take three weeks, but he pretty much called it day to day, all the way up until game day. Now, some players that are going to get some reps at left tackle in the meantime are going to be Josh Nijman and Brady Christensen. I hope Icky can get better, because that is not something I do not want Josh Nijman to be the left tackle. I almost trust Brady Christensen more than Josh Nijman, almost. But this is something where, we'll see what happens. I mean, what is today? Today is the 27th. How many days away are we from game one here? So we're 1, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 days away. So this is going to be a tight. This is going to be close. So that's something that was unexpected out of the press conference that he mentioned. The other thing that he talked about was Hunter Renfrow. So when I saw that Adam Thielen was traded, initially I'm like, bring up Hunter Renfrow. This is the chess made move that I thought they were going to do. They already knew that they're probably going to trade Adam Thielen. Hey, Hunter Renfrow, we're going to cut you, but sit right here. We're going to trade him, and then you're going to be elevated. But when they asked him about it today, he wasn't too sure about that. They asked him because I thought, again, Hunter Renfrow, everything I hear during training camp, he looked great. I thought he did well during the preseason. There was a rep in the preseason I didn't like where he kind of stopped on a route on a poor throw, but he was playing with Jack Plummer. Guy's trash. But he said that Hunter Renfrow, he basically wants to make sure, can he count on Hunter Renfrow every game? Will he get the same Hunter Renfrow every game? And he said that there were some peaks and there were some valleys. And when I heard that, I highly doubt that he's going to return now, because he also mentioned how they're in contact daily, I guess. But Hunter Renfrow said that he wanted to think about what he wanted to do moving forward, and that he was talking to his agent. And basically, they're going to look to see, can he be in a different situation? Is there going to be they're going to look and see, is there another team that will benefit from his services, and will he get more playing time than he is with Carolina? I'm starting to get the feeling he's a little pissed off, to be honest with you, because and I kind of was pissed off yesterday about it. Again, I'm not going to sit up here like I know more than Dave Canales. I'm not the head coach of the Panthers, right? But I can see film, and I can see clearly that Hunter Renfrow on preseason is playing a lot better than David Moore. I don't care if David Moore can punt return, kick return. I have Trevor Etienne and Jimmy Horn that can do that. From a wide receiver perspective, this guy is far more consistent than David Moore. Far more. So we're not asking this guy to start. We're asking him to give us a couple of plays weekly. Can we give you 3 targets, 4 targets? Can we, for third down, right? That's what we want out of Hunter Renfrow. We don't want him to be wide receiver 3. Jalen Coker's our wide receiver 3. So again, I'm not going to pretend that I'm not watching practice and I know more than the coach, but it's just, yes, practice matters. Guess what, Dave Canales? Preseason games matter than practice. I don't care about what a person does on practice. I've seen what David Moore can and cannot do during games. He drops the ball. He's made some clutch plays, but he's also made some poor plays. I've seen him punt return, kick return. The dude can catch a ball and run 5 yards. Wow. Now, I understand also where you're moving on from Adam Thielen. You want a veteran on your team that knows your system, Dave Canales. Okay. Do you not think Hunter Renfrow can be a veteran too? I'm just saying. I understand, if you're seeing Hunter Renfrow not be consistent in practice and you felt like he quit on a play during a preseason game, okay. But when David Moore makes the roster and he doesn't, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't, dude. It doesn't. So, I feel like the writing is on the wall and the dude isn't coming back. I mean, I hope I am wrong, but I think because pretty much they told us he's not going to come back. They would like for him to come back, but I don't think he is. And I think hence why we signed DeLavion Campbell, the guy from the Chargers. I think that's why. I think that's also why Bryson Tremaine is there too. So that was something that Dave Canales brought up during his press conference. But yeah, doesn't sound like he's coming back, guys. Another thing that Dave Canales brought up was Ryan Fitzgerald. Someone asked him, so is Ryan Fitzgerald, going to be your kicker moving forward? And he goes, yeah, right now he's our kicker. I think it's very clear, and based on his answer, it's extremely clear that they want to find somebody else. And we talked about the Pittsburgh Steelers kicker that got released the other day, Ben Souls. That's someone I think they will target. I'm surprised they didn't target him today. I don't know if anybody, I didn't look to see if anybody picked him up or not, but it sounds like they would love to find an upgrade because, as I mentioned before, I think there's going to be quite a few close games this season with Bryce Young developing and still improving, and the offense getting better and the defense getting better. I think there's going to be some closer games, a lot more than last year was. And can you trust this guy to win you a couple kicks? Can he win you a couple games with some clutch kicks? Or are we going to lose a couple games with field goals we should have got 30, 35, 40 yards, and we lose a couple games because he missed some field goals? This is why, and some people hate me for it. I've mentioned this before with draft night. I've always been on the interpretation, like kickers are important, right? Unless you have a, what's the guy's name from the Chiefs? We were talking to me and my friend Brandon were talking about this the other day. The Chiefs kicker, Hickerson, I can't remember, Hutchinson. We drafted him in the 7th round at that time. That is a 100% value pick, and I feel like if there is a guy out there and he's available in the 7th round, I know we haven't really had 7th round picks recently. Use a 7th round pick on a very, very good kicker, because kickers help you win games. They also help you lose games. So it sounds like, just like how I feel, I hope they find an upgrade over Fitzgerald. I was high on Fitzgerald, but he hasn't really wanted to take the job, to be honest with you. He hasn't. So that was one thing he talked about. He mentioned some updates on Nick Scorton. Say Nick Scorton has been practicing pretty well. He had 50% of his reps. He felt well during the reps, but he was going to follow up with the team's health advisor or doctor there and pretty much get an update as far as how his body's responding to those reps and that conditioning. Hopefully it sounds like everything's going in the positive direction. He's just going through a protocol to make sure he's game ready and game shape. But this is great to hear because Nick Scorton looked great against the Browns, but then unfortunately he had that collapsed lung and couldn't play against the Texans. So this is somebody I'm really excited to see continue to develop. And I really hope, it sounds like all signs are pointing to him starting against the Jaguars. And then a couple other updates from injury-wise. You have Tommy Tremble. Tommy Tremble was able to take off the red shirt, the no-contact shirt, and he was getting in some drills today. He mentioned the other day how he was excited and just felt good getting, into live action again. And basically, I think he's just starting to progress and get into going through a protocol of his own to get into game shape for week 1. So all signs are pointing positive that Nick Scorton and Tommy Tremble are going to start against the Jaguars. And then Damian Lewis's prognosis, I think Dave Canales was not as optimistic. I believe he still thinks that he's going to start week 1, but this is just something to monitor. This has been lingering for a while. I know last week Dave Canales was talking about how he's just looking to gain strength back in the shoulder, and obviously shoulders are super important for offensive linemen. But we noticed how big of a deficit we have without him in our line as a starting offensive lineman. Cade Mays did a good decent job, but he's not Damian Lewis. We need Damian Lewis out there. It's crucial. So, hope he makes it to week 1. It sounds like it's probably going to happen, but it's just I hope it's not an injury that lingers throughout the season. So, um, those are the things that will happen today. I'm sure there's going to be a couple of other moves that's going to happen um, tomorrow. I'm sure we're not done with waivers. Again, I think trade is still an option out there where I still think that we can trade for an inside linebacker. I still wouldn't be mad about another corner. But I feel like overall we're pretty much done here as far as moves. I just think it's inside linebacker is the biggest one, man. Inside linebacker is it's it's rough. It's rough. So, um, but that's it for me, guys. If you haven't already, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, get in the comments. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. We're at 14 subscribers, so still a really small Panther podcast. Do me a big favor if you do like the content, if you do like what I'm doing, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. It just helps me grow, and I really appreciate it. So, that's it for me. At the very least, I'm probably going to do uh, updated video next week, and I definitely am going to do a video before week 1 going over the Jaguars, their roster, and kind of comparing their team to our team, their strengths, their weaknesses, and how we can exploit it. So we'll deep dive into that. But unless any other new news comes out, I'll probably make a video next week. But in the meantime, you guys stay safe out there. You have a great day and keep pounding. Peace.